Everyone's favorite yellow minions are back on screen, this time for Despicable Me 4, in which this is making a decent amount of money, and it always makes a pretty good amount of money, in which this is why there's so many of these films. But how do I feel about this film, and how does it measure up to the prequels and to the original trilogy? Well, stick around, and let's talk about it. Gru and Lucy and their girls, Margot, Edith, and Agnes, welcome a new member to the Gru family, Gru Jr., who is intent on tormenting his dad. Gru faces a new nemesis in Maxime Le Mal and his femme fatale girlfriend Valentina, and the family is forced to go on the run. The film stars Steve Carell, Kristen Wiig, Joey King, Will Ferrell, Sofía Vergara, Miranda Cosgrove, Dana Gaier, and Madison Polan, and was directed by Renaud, and he's done Despicable Me 1 and 2, both Secret Life of Pets films, and The Lorax. With Despicable Me 4, I really didn't have high expectations for this film, and that's mainly because the Minions prequel movies I just thought were very average. I didn't really care for either one of them. I didn't really watch a trailer for this film. I saw like little clips here and there, and I just went into this film pretty blind, as you know, there's never too much of a plot with these films, and it's a kid's film, so I really didn't think too much of this film. Now you have Gru, who is part of the Anti-Villain League. He's going to a school reunion, and he's meeting up with his nemesis that he had in high school, in which he does not like him because apparently he stole his talent show act, but he gets captured by this Anti-Villain League and he gets thrown into jail, and he eventually escapes from jail, in which the director of the Anti-Villain League comes to his house and says, hey, he's escaped, you're gonna have to relocate to a new town. So he takes his adopted daughters, he has a son named Gru Jr., and he has his wife, and they go to this new town in which they're going to lay low, and they're going to be a different type of family with different names. You have Gru, who's apparently supposed to be part of a solar company, and you have Kristen Wiig's character, his wife, to be a hairdresser. So they're trying to adapt to this new life, and then the girls, they're going to their new schools and they're trying to adapt with their new names as well. They have these neighbors, in which Gru, he just can't help himself. He can't lay low. He's got to introduce himself, and eventually the daughter named Poppy in this, she finds out that he is Gru, and they want to go on to a certain mission in which Poppy wants to steal this honey badger mascot from the school, and she wants to eventually be enrolled in this school. So you have that little side mission. You also have the director of the Anti-Villain League, who takes in all the minions, and he picks 5 of these minions to be super minions, in which they're going to fight crime, in which that is a very short-lived type thing, because in the trailers from actually watching after I watched this film, I did see that they highly marketed that portion of the film, but it's not really a big highlight of the film. A lot of this film really relies on this villain played by Will Ferrell trying to get his revenge on Gru, which I thought was a really petty reason, all over a talent show that was back in high school. I mean, come on, that's the plot. He's not a memorable villain in the slightest. He rides around in this cockroach spaceship, so to speak, and he also turns humans into these hybrid cockroaches and mind-controlling type device. I just thought it was really weak, because a lot of times we have all these different plot points really going on. I felt like his girls, they didn't really have a lot to do here, and I think it's very weird that they never age. I mean, the fact that he has a little baby named Gru Jr. now, I did like that aspect in which the baby doesn't really seem to like him all that much, but then as the film goes along, there is this message of the love between them two, as he's trying to get controlled by Maximum here. But even with that, in that little side portion of the film, I just feel like this film is a very average film. I feel like it just doesn't really further any of the characters. We know what there is to know about Gru, his wife, and the 3 girls. I feel like the 3 girls here, they don't have any cute moments like in the other films. I feel like they just don't have a lot of parts that really make you just feel like they're getting developed more. I feel like his wife doesn't have a lot to do here. I feel like this is more so like the relationship between Gru and his son, and with the villain kind of being off screen a lot of the times and having other plot points, really just kind of go on in the film. I feel like it's just very undercooked. It feels very unearned by the time he does meet up with Gru and he's trying to propose his plan and try to go through with it. I just felt like too, like a lot of the jokes, they are the same. The Minions doing their same kind of thing. And maybe that's because now it's very much a long time since this whole franchise came out. It came out in 2010. At the time, I was 21 years old. I'm now 35. They've already greenlit another Minions film in which I'm going to be almost 40 by the time that film comes out. It's absolutely nuts to me that this continues to just go on, but they're not really doing anything different with these movies. It's just kind of the same old slick throughout this entire film, and we've seen it time and time again. There's nothing new here. I never felt like I was very much engrossed with the plot here. There was somebody else that did review this film that I watched on YouTube, and they made a great point. I'm going to give them credit for it. I don't remember who said it, but I am giving them credit for saying this. They said that this would be better if it was more so in the fact of maybe like different episodes, like having the different plot points in here, like the fact that there's 3 different stories here, like having Maximum try to go after him, that could be one story. You have, the whole plot point with Poppy and going on this mission, that could be another plot point. And then the Minions being super minions, that could be a story in itself for a episode on like a Saturday daytime TV show. So I think that aspect is something to be considered, because I feel like with a 90-minute film here, you really can't stretch out all the stories. There's too much really going on. And I feel like just the villain towards the end of this film and what really happens, it just feels very unearned. When he's on screen, he's not really getting a lot of time, and he doesn't really show his dominance really in this film whatsoever. I think he just has maybe a moment or two. He has this cockroach army that's really behind him, which was kind of cheesy, to be honest. The spaceship that he flew in, I thought was really cheesy as well. I didn't think Will Ferrell was bad in the role. I just didn't really care for the character all that much. And by the time the film actually wraps up, there is a song that is played, Everybody Wants to Rule the World. I really love that song, but the whole cheesy ending there, that was just so dumb. I mean, to me, I understand this is a kids movie, but this just feels like it's a very dumbed down kids movie. It feels like it's the most bare bones of movies. It feels like it's just for those really young toddlers that like the fart humor and those kinds of jokes, because again, that's what kind of jokes are really in here. Not to say that there isn't some funny parts in here, but if you've seen all these movies by now and you've followed this franchise like I have, since I was 21, I feel like at this point, it's old, it's stale. Do something new, whether you're going to, turn this into a show and do something different. Definitely age the little girls as well. I mean, do something with them. I mean, they have nothing here. There's nothing that these girls have to do. I mean, it's just one of those things where the family is just kind of there because we know those characters, but they don't have a lot to do. And then the fact that you have a very weak villain, I mean, you find yourself at a very average plot at best, very average movie at best, and a movie where I just don't think the adults here can really enjoy this. I feel like it's kind of torture in certain parts, especially if you haven't seen these kinds of movies before, and you have a kid that really starts to get into Despicable Me at this time period. Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's just merch sales for this. They know that the whole plot point with the Minions turning into the Super Minions, they know that they're going to sell toys. And that's all this franchise feels at this point. It just feels to be lazy in the plot writing and the story and just the setup of the villains. I mean, we haven't had a good villain in this series in quite a while. And to be quite frank, I'm not excited for the third prequel for Minions. I don't think it's going to be good. I think it's going to be another average film. What else is there to really do in a prequel? Why do you have to go back into a prequel? I don't know. But as far as the score for this film, I think you guys already know. I'm going to go with a 2.5 out of 5. This just was another average film. I mean, nothing exciting. Nothing to where I can say, you've got to rush out and go to the theater. And what's funny, too, is, and I didn't intend to see this in IMAX, but I did watch this in IMAX. And that was only because the time period I got out of work, that was the most convenient time. And it was in IMAX. And it's funny because it's a 388-seat type of auditorium, and there was only about 5 of us in that auditorium. Yeah, it's a big screen, and I've seen some films in there that have good, really good sound, but this film, it doesn't have any of that. You know, it's just showing it on a big screen. There's nothing really that really enhances the film, seeing it in IMAX. So if you're thinking about seeing this in IMAX, I say don't. Just see it in standard. It really isn't going to make a difference whether you see it in IMAX, unless you just really care about a bigger screen. That's about the only thing I can really say would be worth it if you really care about that. Other than that, though, I just don't think it's really worth it to go see it in IMAX. So those are my thoughts on Despicable Me 4. What did you guys think about this film? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you just think it was kind of meh? And if you haven't checked it out yet, are you going to check it out in a theater? Are you going to check it out on streaming or VOD? Or are you going to skip it altogether? And leave comments down below. What is your ranking of the franchise if you've seen them all? And why not include the Minions films as well? I can tell you that I still love that first film quite a bit. Both Minion films would be at the bottom of my list. And I haven't watched the other 2 and 3 in quite a bit, so I'm not really sure where I'd rank them. Probably 2 would probably be second ranked, and then 3rd probably 3rd. But the Minions definitely dead last. And I would definitely rank this new one definitely within the Minions towards the bottom 3 for sure. But thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you guys next time.